What's going on, everyone? Tayler Kyles here from CLNS Media, reporting live from Media Row here in Indianapolis as we prepare for the 2025 NFL Combine. Now, today we got some breaking news. Heard from the NFLPA survey, where last year the Patriots were one of the last teams in the NFL. This year, they remain at the bottom, ranking 31st out of the 32 teams in terms of multiple factors within the organization. Now, while there were some areas where the Patriots were able to marginally improve, there were plenty of areas where they either didn't improve or stayed the same, and above all, at 31st, it's clearly unacceptable from the Patriots in multiple facets. All right, Phil, so the Patriots ranked 31st out of 32 teams in the NFL survey report card. What were your major takeaways from their grade and all the grades that they ended up getting?
Well, I think the Fs stand out first and foremost. One of the reasons why they're as low as they are. And so for team travel to still be at the bottom of the league, which it has been for the last couple of years, players really don't like those team planes. A little rickety.
Got some ashtrays in the seats,
impact,
apparently. I didn't know that was a thing.
You know, just in case you're looking to have a good time on the back of the plane. And then, sorry, what was the other? The weight room. The weight room we knew.
Yep.
So those are two things that I think knew really hadn't been changed.
Yeah.
So not a stunner there. I think the thing that is most surprising was to see the ownership grade. And I'm looking at it right now. But for Robert Kraft to have the 28th out of 32, the 28th ranking when it comes to average rating for perceived willingness to invest in the facilities. He's 30 out of 32 when it comes to contributing to a positive team culture. He's 30th out of 32 when it comes to the commitment to building a competitive team. Those are things that I think he should want to look at and want to address. And there's only so much he can control in terms of the actual performance on the field, but things like spending, I would think, would go ahead and improve some of these rankings that we're seeing.
And as we know, they are trying to improve their facilities. They're building a whole new area, so you'd think that some grades may change once they get that, but still, there's things like nutritionists, where the dietitian, they're not really a big fan of that. So where do you think are the areas where, just outside of purely the facilities, because that we know is in the works again, but where do you think they really need to take that next step to get higher?
Commitment to putting together a competitive product, you know, that to me goes beyond the facilities.
Right.
Facilities would help, but does it go to just how many staffers you have? You see some things, you know, in terms of the team doesn't have as many physical therapists that players would like to see. You know, so it's like the facilities, yes, they're going to improve, and that's one thing, but the overall investment to building a winning team involves so much other stuff.
Yep.
And if it's that stuff that the Patriots players are looking at and saying we need more, that is something that he can control. There's no cap on that. You know, that should be a relatively quick fix and could be the kind of thing that could yield results. Now, are you going to see them, you know, are you going to see their offense improve by, you know, 4.5 points in 2025 because they added an extra physical therapist? No. You're not ever going to be able to make that correlation. But if players are healthier and you're maybe not missing as many games to injury as you are in previous years, then that is, to me, obviously the kind of place where you should be investing to try to just leverage every little thing that you can and try to win in the margins as much as you can. I think the team knew they were going to get some bad grades here. Taylor, I don't think they're surprised by the grades at all. And my guess is they're assuming once this new structure is built, the grades will improve. But that's not going to be till 2026.
Right.
And who knows what happens between now and then. I just, quite frankly, if you want an honest assessment, I don't think they care all that much about the grades.
It sure seems that way because we haven't seen a whole lot of changes.
I think they care about things like the family treatment, the very easy fixes. But I think the other stuff, it is what it is to them. It's a shrug of the shoulder. They're you know, they are, again, they're building this thing, and so we'll see in a couple years. But I don't think they're all that moved one way or the other by these grades. The question is, should they be? And I think some of those grades for Robert Kraft and ownership, I think those are things that he should take note of.
And you do also hope with Mike Vrabel, like he's mentioned, being aggressive in free agency, where, you know, it's not exactly burn some cash. He did mention, hopefully, between that, the fact that he said with the staff, hey, if we need more people, we don't want to burn people out, we add more. Do you think maybe Vrabel can have a significant impact? Again, they may not care that much, but just in what he wants to bring and how much emphasis he puts on family, connections, relationships, do you think maybe he can help boost their grades in some areas?
Sure, yeah, and I think there is more urgency with Vrabel when it comes to putting a competitive product on the field. And so if he goes to Kraft and says, we need more trainers, we need more physical therapists, The nutritionist, it sounds like, actually got a pretty good grade. I think he got a B, which is probably one of the higher grades out there. Ted Harper is their team nutritionist. So good for him on that front, because otherwise it's sort of a wasteland in terms of the grading. I could tell you, Mary and Bob back at home when I was growing up would not have been pleased with a report card like that, Taylor. And so, yeah, I think Vrabel could help in that regard. And, so whether it's the coaching grade specifically or whether it's some of this other stuff, I think he could encourage ownership to make some decisions that could yield better results on the report card, which, again, I don't think they really care about. They care about the results on the field, but I think the two are related.
And when you look at the Chiefs, they've been a team that's been towards the bottom, and as we know, they're one of the premier franchises in the NFL. So if you fix the product on the field, maybe the NFLPA report card doesn't look quite as bad, because you're saying, hey, at least you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a football franchise, but hopefully in all areas we see this team make another step. All right, Brian, the Patriots 31st out of 32 teams, third year in a row where they did not do well in the NFLPA report card. What were your biggest takeaways?
I think you look straight to the grades that if I brought home in elementary school, I would have lost my PlayStation privileges with those D's and F's.
Brian Hines, PlayStation guy.
Oh, huge PlayStation guy. I was in those Call of Duty lobbies growing up. But,
okay. I've seen you a couple times.
F, weight room, team travel. The weight room, that's correctable, right? They're installing this new $50 million facilities. They'll have a new weight room. Sure, that grade will be fixed. Team travel's interesting because they have their own plane. But we're hearing there's no Wi-Fi. They have ashtrays. I don't know. They're not smoking many victory cigars back there because they're not winning many games. So I don't know why we need ashtrays in the plane. But, to have their own plane, and it seems outdated, not enough space. So those should be easy fixes. But the other big thing was ownership. D for Robert Kraft, 29th out of 32. And he has the chance to correct a lot of these because, as I'm reading it here, it was his willingness to invest in the facilities, which we just talked about. They are getting a new facility. They feel that he is contributing to a positive team culture, ranking 30 out of 32. I think a lot of that comes back to spending, right? So if they invest in free agency like we expect them to. We hear Mike Vrabel say they're going to be aggressive. I think all of that kind of comes back to investing in a positive team culture, and I think spending is a big one for Kraft this offseason.
Yeah, one of the few places they actually did upgrade was treatment of families. That one was pretty significant because it should have been a very easy fix. It was bizarre to see they got an F- in that category last year, bumped that up a little bit. And also head coach, kind of funny that without Bill Belichick and, his very specific but, proven style, you go to Gerard Mayo, not the same level of competence necessarily, but a coach who wasn't quite as on top of his guys, and maybe that had something to do with it. And we do know that Mayo had the support of the locker room throughout really his tenure, but what did you think of maybe those grades?
Yeah, it was never a question with Mayo that the players didn't like him. They got along with him. They liked his style. It just didn't translate to on-field results. But there were some positives that are worth pointing out. You mentioned the treatments of families going from F- to, what was it, C or C?
C+.
C+, 18th, so 32 to 18th. They hired Hallie Ross for the family services, so credit to her. Team nutrition got a B, which was one of their higher grades. Ted Harper has been their dietitian for the last 5 or 6 years. And then the strength coaches, another B. They kept Duron Mayo. They kept Brian McDonough. So the stuff that was working, they kept that around, and hopefully they can keep building those positive grades.
Like you said, with Mike Vrabel, hopefully you spend a little bit more. Hopefully you help out the staff, and obviously get a better product on the field.